Cozy Whispers, and I thought I'd do just a movie ramble because I've seen a lot of movies over break, and then I might do some nail tapping sounds on my Hobbit activity book because it makes some wonderful sounds, I think. So, as you all probably have figured out by now, I'm a huge movie nerd, and so this, winter movie season was just awesome across the board. I've been to the movie theaters 5 times in the past 3 weeks, 4 times in the last 8 days, I think. Not entirely, no, it's been, yeah, that's right. I saw The Hobbit twice. I saw it for the second time yesterday. I saw Django Unchained. I saw Les Miserables, or Les Mis, if you will, and Lincoln. And it's just been amazing. Yeah. So I'm so lucky that I had some time off, and I also have one of my closest friends who's a huge movie nerd, just like me. He works in a movie theater, and so he gets free tickets, so he's always like, come down, we'll go see a movie. So I didn't, spend all of my money at the movie theater. I'm just very lucky to have a friend. So, The Hobbit. I've seen it twice, and I liked it even more the second time. And that, to me, speaks a lot about a movie. Because I know, there's obviously a difference between a movie that, entertains you and is maybe a feel-good movie, and then a movie which is artistic and, technically or visually masterful. And, there's a difference. I just thought it was a thoroughly entertaining movie, and as a longtime fan of the Lord of the Rings series and trilogy, it was absolutely wonderful, and so it is a feel-good movie in its own sort of way. So I thought it was wonderful. I think it had a very strong cast. Martin Freeman as Bilbo Baggins, I think, was like casting decision of the year. He finds this perfect balance of absolutely horrified with everything that's going on around him. Like, the face he makes the first time he sees his pony Myrtle is just absolutely brilliant. And he just balances. He never really becomes like a really over cliched hero. Like, at the end of the movie, when he explains his reasoning for staying on his journey, it's because he misses his home, and he feels bad that, the dwarves have lost Erebor and their home, and so he, wants to help them get that. The way he says it, it's not all, like, mighty and pompous. He just says it rather matter of fact. I don't know, something about that just really struck a chord with me, and I really like that because, that is Bilbo. He's the Hobbit that got dragged out of his Hobbit hole, sort of unwittingly kind of sent on an adventure. Just an ordinary guy, and that's kind of what I like about it. The dwarves are fantastic, every single one of them, and Richard Armitage, who plays Thorin Oakenshield, is just magnificent. But, as is the rest of the cast, there are no weak performances. It has a different feel from the Lord of the Rings movies, but not one that's so far off that it makes you feel weird. Like, I know sometimes when you have two different, I don't know how to say this, but I know sometimes different movies, especially under the same umbrella, can have like different, really like wildly different feelings, so it feels like there's not a sense of continuity between them. Like, this one's different, but there's definitely a sense of continuity between which we've been friends for a while, so that kind of took me by surprise. But I don't know, I think it would be kind of interesting to have someone see, the three Hobbit movies and then go do the Lord of the Rings movies. I just think it would be kind of interesting. But anyway, Hobbit, 2 thumbs up. You should see it. So, I saw Django Unchained, and I'm still kind of marinating. I'm still trying to, find words to verbalize my opinion. I love Tarantino, and it was definitely a Tarantino. It didn't feel as smooth as Inglourious Bastards, but it was still good. I'm still marinating, so I can't really give a review. It's an interesting movie. I will give it that. Then Lincoln. Okay, I'm a really big history fan, and I really enjoyed this movie. However, it is a movie, and so I'm still trying to sort out historical fact from Spielberg's embellishments. And I know that because it's a movie, obviously it's not 100% accurate. That being said, my gut reaction was that it was a very, very good movie. Spielberg's a master. And it's brilliant because instead of trying to tackle Lincoln's, whole life, it tackles a very specific period when he's trying to pass the 13th Amendment towards the tail end of the American Civil War. And it basically details all of the political struggles that go through that, and, the maneuverings, and how he has to win votes. It's very well done, I thought. It's a very beautiful movie, visually. The music, it's really interesting because I love Ken Burns, and Ken Burns' documentary on the Civil War. And if you've seen it, it has this very kind of distinct, lonely piano music. And I'm almost 99% sure that they either used Ken Burns' music in this movie, or they were trying to pay direct homage to it, because a lot of the music was a very similar style of piano playing, which I thought was interesting. So, very good movie, very dramatic. I cannot speak to the historical accuracy of it, but the end did have me crying, when because it does follow him to the end of his life. And this isn't a spoiler. I mean, everyone knows Lincoln is assassinated. They did it in a very interesting way. So, it's definitely a good movie. It's not, it probably wouldn't be good for kids, because unless you're, really interested in that period, it would probably come off as dry, even though I think Spielberg does do a very good job of spicing it up and making, or, bringing the drama to life. So, I don't know. And Les Mis. I was a theater kid, so when I heard they were making a musical version of, the very famous musical, I was really excited, because I had seen the film version that was essentially a straight film. There was no music. The one that has Uma Thurman, Liam Neeson, Jeffrey Rush, Claire Danes. And that's a fantastic film, and it tells the story really well. And it's just wonderful. So I was excited, especially because the cast is, fantastic. It's got Hugh Jackman, Russell Crowe, Anne Hathaway, Amanda Seyfried, Samantha Parks, I believe is her name, who actually played Eponine on Broadway, Eddie Redmayne, Helena Bonham Carter, Sacha Baron Cohen. It's just a brilliant cast. So my feeling, almost an opera in the fact that 99% of everything is sung. They were really kind of confined by the music in a certain extent, because one of the problems when you put a stage musical into a movie is that a lot of plot holes show up. And I'm not sure if I'd call it a plot hole, but a lot of kind of things that make you go, huh? For instance, Marius sees Cosette once and immediately falls in love with her, and within 24 hours, they're professing their love. And I think that was dealt with better in this movie, where they didn't incorporate the music, because they weren't confined by it, and so they could sort of draw out the relationship a little more so it seemed more natural. But in the movie, it kind of stood out that it was a little ridiculous. That's really, I guess, my one complaint. I mean, it was visually a gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous movie, and the cast was fantastic. One thing that I really appreciated about this movie that it's been getting a lot of, I guess, controversy about was the fact that almost every performance in the movie is done live, in that they're not lip syncing, and when they sing, they're being dubbed back in. All of the scenes except, I believe, for the opening scene, because that involves a lot of water, so their mics kept getting shorted out, is what I've heard. All of them are done, those are the actors and actresses singing them. So, a lot of the time, the performances aren't, pitch perfect or, smooth, but that to me made it so much better, because I think it kept a sense of, grittiness about it. Especially Anne Hathaway's performance as Fantine, which I'm sure you've heard a clip of her singing I Dreamed a Dream. Her entire performance is just harrowingly beautiful, and she deserves at least a nomination for what she's done. And her rendition of I Dreamed a Dream just rips your heart out and leaves it on the floor, because it's very gritty and it's very real, and she's just pouring her heart out onto the screen, and that's just wonderful. Same thing with Javert, played by Russell Crowe. A lot of people were kind of giving him flack because he isn't a trained singer, didn't really have a lot of experience. I thought he did a fine job, and he carried Javert's kind of gravelly demeanor very well. Samantha Parks is Ebony. I mean, oh my god, she's just amazing in this movie, and she is just, she's just wonderful. Didn't know Eddie Redmayne could sing. He's wonderful. And it's a very emotional movie, and it's very good. It's pretty long, but I mean, most adult movies nowadays are 2.5 hours plus, so I would recommend it. Be prepared to cry, because it is a very sad movie, but I mean, definitely not for kids, or kids who aren't familiar with the story at least. I think it would be really interesting to take someone who hasn't seen the movie or the play, or doesn't know much about it, to see how they would react, because one of the things that I think for some people might have added to their emotional experience was, I guess for me, because I knew who died and when, I kind of could expect it, but for some reason it didn't add to the anticipation or the heighten the emotion. For me, it kind of downplayed it, which is unusual, because normally stuff like that, the anticipation is what gets to me. But anyway, that was really rambly. It didn't make a lot of sense. So, The Hobbit, excellent. Django, interesting movie, still marinating. Lincoln, very good movie, probably for a pretty select crowd, but you should see it anyway. very sad, beautiful, strong cast. You should see it. So, now I thought I'd do some nail tapping. this one, I was at least feeling a little creeped out by him. And sorry guys, my phone just sort of freaked out. So there's gonna be a bit of a bump in the recording. So anyway, Gollum, creepy, excellent, I liked it. These are, I guess, the riddles that Gollum and Bilbo go back and forth with. Key to Erebor. Thranduil. He's played by lead bass, which is really funny because he doesn't really show up a lot in the first movie. He's there for like 10 seconds, but I'm really excited for him. A little quiz. Then the answers. So, sorry about the silly cutoff. That makes me upset, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I don't think I mentioned any spoilers. If I did, I'm so sorry. Please let me know so I can tag this for spoilers.